What's good, everyone? It's Tyler, and today I'm joined by Inspired, fresh off another dub, 4 in a row this time. I mean, you know, after that loss against FlyQuest, you guys have been rolling. Since then, like, what kind of differences or what has been making the difference for you guys in terms of bouncing back from that win and then continuing the success in the next 3 games?
I think we try to be more decisive. I think we are good at getting the early lead, but then sometimes we slow the game down a bit too much, and I think that's kind of maybe what happened in the FlyQuest game. I think we were in a really good position and we didn't take every opportunity we had. I think if I just played a little bit more aggressive, took a little bit more engages, I think we would easily win against them, because I think they played pretty bad that game. But yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway I took from that game, to like look a little bit more for the angles. And I think that's what we've been doing for the past 4 games. I think we've been playing very similar, but once we get the lead, we're trying to push it a bit harder.
Okay. Now, I mean, you guys have obviously have had to like adjust to a lot of changes, especially after the off season, right? And these last 4 games have been kind of like a test for, or at least kind of like a good way for people to judge how this team is going to be moving forward. To speak about those changes, obviously it was a big offseason for EG. You guys picked up 2 big players in the offseason with FBI and Ssumday. I mean, first off, I wanted to ask, did you guys, like some of the guys on the that came from last year, did you guys have any kind of input on who you guys are looking for the roster for 2023, or was that sort of out of your hands?
That's out of our hands. It was all up to EG.
Okay. Now let's talk about FBI and Ssumday, because you've played against them. They've been in the league for a pretty good amount of time now. How are, like, after 4 weeks, how would you say their playstyle has kind of meshed with the remaining 3 players on this roster? Because you guys seem to have a very set, like, it looked like you guys had your playstyle really set down from last year. So how has it been kind of integrating them into the roster and integrating their playstyles as well?
I think it's been like so. I think it's not like so easy, but it's also not too hard. It's kind of easier because they are experienced and they already played a lot of games on stage, and they've just been playing for a long time. So like they don't feel pressure, and they know how to perform in official matches. But I think they're just a bit surprised how we play, because I think me and Jojo especially, we are playing very aggressive, and we like to play very different way than every other team. We like to do some weird plays and play around like enemies a bit, like stuff that people don't really do. So I think it's just very weird for them to adapt at the beginnings. I think they're slowly getting there. I still think they are not completely matched with us yet, because I think for example, FBI, sometimes when I'm calling for fights, I feel like he's dropping a bit too much farm to look for the fight, instead of actually farming up, because we don't always need him. I feel like he maybe feels like in the on other teams, when there was a fight, he always had to participate because he's AD carry. But me and Jojo like to do some stuff that we just drag enemies around the map and let our teammate farm a bit more. So I think he's just getting used to it. But I think we are doing a pretty decent job. I think it will be pretty well for playoffs.
Okay. I mean, have they kind of like said that to you guys, like in the after during practices or after games? Stuff like, yo, you guys are going, like, I don't know what you guys are doing, or like how has the kind of communication shifted a little bit between you guys? Because like you said, they're getting used to your antics, you know. So like, how's it been kind of with them communicating that kind of, I guess, uncomfortability with the way that you guys play so far?
I mean, they didn't say anything, but I can just see how they react. Like I can see they're a bit confused sometimes on what we do, because they didn't experience players like that. So I think it was a little bit new for them. But right now that they know, and we are telling them how we want to play, like they are getting used to this kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, how has kind of like, I remember we talked last year, right, about how the team has kind of grown together, and I know that we had a specific conversation about your old AD carry, Danny, right? And you were talking about how you're trying to get used to playing with new players like this that don't know your play style, but how has it kind of been adjusting to a roster that doesn't have his presence both on and off the Rift? Because I know that he was a big part of your team last year, like obviously, but how has it kind of been adjusting away from that and into something new?
You mean Danny? How is it adjusting without Danny? Or
Yeah.
I think Danny was more of a indicator that, as I said, like FBI really likes to help his team. I think Danny knew that his job was to just farm up, and if we make mistakes and die, it will be on us. And I think I didn't have to teach him too much about that. I just came naturally to him. I think FBI is more of a team player. Like he likes to participate in the fights, even though he's not too strong. And yeah, he's just trying to be there for his team. But I think it's not always his job. Usually his job is just to farm up and make sure he's gonna be stronger later. So that's what I'm trying to teach him. Obviously, you have to have good balance because sometimes, even though you are not strong and you see the good angle and you help your team, you might win the game. But if you do it every time, I think you might lose opportunities to farm up. So I think it just he has different playstyle than Danny, and yeah, it has different strengths and different weaknesses.
Okay. I mean, like, I remember last year you were like, yeah, I just tell Danny, like, take my farm, and Danny was like, okay, I guess. Before, I remember I talked to you about that before, but now,
Yeah.
looking at another one of your teammates, Jojo, who has kind of grown with you on EG. He's kind of blossomed into himself. But how has kind of your synergy with Jojo grown over the last year and a like half, or last year and a split now? Like, how has that kind of grown, and how is it, like, as one of the youngest players in the league still, like, how do you think he has kind of shown improvement in his game over his career so far, even though it's been pretty short?
I think at the beginning he was making a lot of mistakes, like not really mechanical wise, but just team wise. Like he was not helping his team too much. But I think the fact that we played Spring Speed and TF and Rise were meta, he learned a lot how to roam and how to help his team. And now he kind of does it as well on champions like Silas or I don't know, like some moving champions. And it was a bit hard to teach him how to play champs like Azir or Victor, that then he actually needs to just play for himself, that he's the carry and he needs to farm more. But I think he's doing a good job. He already has those two playstyles pre-ready. I think he's still bad at playing supportive champions. Like I think he doesn't really know how exactly he should play when he's the one that is not supposed to tank, but he's also not supposed to deal damage. He's just supposed to like peel your teammates. I think maybe he's not that good at it yet, but yeah, I can see that he is improving in a lot of areas, and he's way more confident, and he knows like how to make plays right now. He doesn't overplay plays, like he doesn't overforce stuff, and he also is not scared to do stuff. Like he's the one often walking up first to objectives and poking enemies, and it's a very good thing, because a lot of players, especially new players, are scared of these kind of things. They like rather be the follow-up rather than do something themselves.
Right.
So I think that's the position Jojo is in, and I've been doing a pretty good job.
Okay, nice. Now,